Welcome back to the Archive Network. Aurelius here with Malik, curators of the Lineage Archive. We left House of Plantagenet last time by Richard III's reign. Plantagenet power was a shadow. Today we pick up where we left off. A dynasty built on conquest can just as easily be undone by its own blood. The House of Plantagenet, once stretching from Scotland to Aquitaine, faced a crisis from within. It was in those gilded halls of Westminster where ambition and suspicion festered. The Plantagenet sun began its inexorable descent, and the realm was about to feel the consequences.
But, Aurelius, it wasn't just the ambition of the nobility that caused the fracture. After Edward III's death, Richard II was merely a boy thrust into a world of manipulation. His youth made him vulnerable, a pawn in a game played by power-hungry lords. The illusion of unity shattered, yes, but it was the lack of genuine leadership that truly exacerbated the chaos.
You're correct about Richard's vulnerability. But let's consider this. The court was already fracturing under the weight of its own ambitions. Regency by committee? That's a recipe for rivalry, isn't it? Richard's attempts to assert authority only deepened the divisions among the old nobility. Each faction saw their chance to gain power, and instead of uniting, they pulled apart. It's a reminder that in times of uncertainty, the quest for dominance often leads to more chaos than clarity.
And yet, those old nobility were part of a system that was crumbling. The merciless Parliament of 1388 was a desperate reaction to Richard's perceived favoritism. Purging rivals might have felt like a victory, but it only sowed seeds of deeper resentment. The monarchy weakened, and the roots of the conflict were laid bare for all to see.
The monarchy's authority was shrinking, and we could see it clearly. Debts were soaring, and the relentless cost of the 100 Years' War drained the treasury dry. England lost Normandy and Aquitaine, those jewels of our inheritance. This loss didn't just hit our pockets. It chipped away at our prestige on the continent. As we faltered, we could feel the whispers of our rivals growing louder, and that's always a dangerous sign for any empire.
That loss was a heavy burden for the people to carry. Taxes skyrocketed, and you could feel the unrest building up, like a storm on the horizon. The peasants' revolt wasn't just a random outburst. It was a clear sign of deeper fractures in society. The ruling class had to face the hard truth that their choices weren't just abstract decisions. They had real consequences that hit the common folks right in their daily lives.
True, but we must remember that the court was still a theater of power and cunning maneuver. Ceremony often masked the rising anxiety beneath the surface. Richard II's deposition was the unthinkable event that changed everything we knew. Henry Bolingbroke's return from exile didn't just signal a new era of ambition. It shattered the Plantagenet line, leaving a fracture that would echo through the ages. History teaches us that such moments reshape the very foundations of a kingdom.
Deposing Richard II wasn't just a power grab. It was a culmination of betrayal and ambition. Henry IV's rise was built on a foundation of division, and the emergence of the Lancaster and York factions only deepened the chaos. Each claimed legitimacy, yet both were nursing old wounds. This was a fracture that would bleed the realm dry.
The Wars of the Roses were a brutal contest of betrayal, a true testament to human folly. Noble families, once united by blood, found themselves on opposing sides, driven by ambition and grudges. Private armies marched beneath their respective banners, and the countryside turned into a bloody battleground. We often forget how quickly alliances can dissolve. Power corrupts, and before long, even the closest kin are ready to spill blood for the throne.
Aurelius, you make it sound like it's just the way empires operate. But this was a calculated plunge into chaos. Families were torn apart, and the brutality was beyond imagination. Just think about George, Duke of Clarence, drowned in a vat of wine. It's not just history. It's a chilling reminder of the extremes they go to in their relentless quest for power. The human cost was devastating, and we can't overlook that.
You're right about the brutality. The murder of young Edward of Lancaster really drove home the depths of their conflict. With each act of violence, the monarchy's authority bled away, and we saw powerful lords stepping up, ruling as if they were petty kings. The institutions that once held the realm together, they became battlegrounds fueled by ambition and greed, each lord vying for power. It was a chaotic dance of desperation, and we all know how this story often ends.
By the time Richard III took the throne, the once mighty Plantagenet power was reduced to a mere shadow of its former self. Whispers of tyranny and murder echoed throughout the court, filling the air with unease. The tragic fate of the princes in the Tower became a haunting symbol of a dynasty in deep crisis. Trust among the nobles crumbled, and with it, the legitimacy of the Plantagenet line hung by a thread, leaving a legacy marred by fear and betrayal.
At Bosworth Field in 1485, the final reckoning arrived. Richard III fell, and his battered body signified the end of an era we all recognize. The Plantagenet line was extinguished, a dynasty that had ruled for centuries now crumbled. With Henry Tudor's ascension, a new chapter began, but it was built on the ruins of the old. This wasn't a mere change of leadership. It was a stark reminder that power is transient, and history always moves forward, often at the expense of those who once held it.
That's where we leave it this time. House of Plantagenet continues. The story isn't finished yet. Find the full series on the Lineage archive, part of the Archive Network. We'll be back with the next chapter.